guys, my name is Jacob Essenberg. I'm a current student at Texas A&M University, and today I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about EDI capability and what exactly that is. So I'm going to start this off by saying, what does $15,000 mean to you? I know to me, as a college kid, sounds like a lot of money, which it is, especially in a business world as well. 15,000 once, okay, but if you keep accumulating that, it adds up. The reason why I bring this up is because that turns into a consequence of suppliers in the automotive world that are not EDI capable. EDI standing for electronic data interchange. It's a way in which we can communicate our demand and say what parts we're going to be needing for production, and tells people when they need to ship, when we need it, how to ship, pretty much everything they need to know instantly through this EDI. Again, that's electronic data interchange. So with this, I'm going to be going over three main points. One being, what is an EDI capable supplier, kind of like what I just did, and why it's important. Two, what are a couple disadvantages of EDI? And then three, I'll wrap it up with how can we transition all of our suppliers to EDI capability. So on to the first point of what it is and why is it important. Like I mentioned, electronic data interchange. Pretty much what it does is you have an ERP system, which is your own system. It's internal, and it shows you your demand for your customer. For example, in my case, a little personal anecdote, I work for a company called Avanzar. We make the interior of cars for Toyota. Our ERP system populates with data from Toyota based off their demand, what they plan on building, stuff like that. What EDI does is it kind of makes a bridge between that and the supplier's shipping needs. So it really speeds up that process, and just makes it a whole lot easier. A good quote from a website called D-Zone. It's a kind of not an open blog, not just anybody can post on it, but it's like a source of information for the automotive industry. They had an article on there that stated that EDI eliminates the need for human intervention by reducing processing time, by minimizing errors, less human errors, obviously, when it's all automated, and it provides real-time status of transactions and applications. In other words, say before EDI, my receiving team needs to bring in a trailer, unload it, receive it into our system, and then on my end, it looks like we have those parts, right? Well, before EDI, it would have taken them hours to, if not a day, to fully receive that into the system and then show up as inventory on my end. So it speeds up that process. It makes us realize what there is, what there isn't. On to my second point. We're going to talk about some disadvantages of EDI. There's really not that many. There's some instances where you could hit the wrong key and it could screw up a lot, but that's with anything. You can obviously double check yourself, all that stuff, good stuff. The main disadvantage to EDI, and I got this from, it's hard to pronounce. It's called Agile-Diation. My boss actually told me about this website. Do some research on EDI. They're a company that helps suppliers transition and will provide the help or guidance and software to switch over. And they said one of the major disadvantages is that EDI systems are extremely expensive. They cost anywhere between $25,000 and $40,000 to start up. And for some suppliers, that might seem like nothing, but for a lot of suppliers, smaller suppliers that might provide us with one or two pieces, it's a lot of money. So that's really our biggest disadvantage for EDI. And then on to my last point is how we can transition these suppliers into EDI capable suppliers. One of the main steps and the part that costs the most money, as stated by Ecosio, which is kind of another kind of open blog thing about EDI and the automotive industry. They said that a connection between your ERP system and your EDI solution must be established. That's the most expensive part, obviously. That's kind of what I stated earlier, on how your ERP is kind of like your demand from your customer and how that relates back to the EDI, and it's like a bridge between the two. So a lot of businesses, and I kind of brought it up to my boss because we have a couple suppliers that still aren't EDI capable. Um, that if we could help fund them and kind of get a return on that investment, maybe a little bit of interest, it's something that they'd be interested in because it really does cut cost. And here I have a visual aid of that. Um, it's kind of hard to see with the glare, but this is a graph, a pie chart showing that out of all of our expedites for the last month, an expedite being that we need a part within the next day, we have to get it here as fast as possible. 70% of these expedites were from non EDI capable suppliers, whereas the remaining 30% were from, it would have had to be a human error with an EDI capable supplier. Um, and so this kind of just shows you that how much money that they could save in the long run. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much everything. But like I said, EDI suppliers are important. Save you a lot of money. They make things just a lot easier. And honestly, besides expedites, you don't have to staff as many people. You don't have to have as many employees. It's a pretty automized process nowadays. Um, there's a couple disadvantages. Obviously, there's disadvantages to everything, but I think the pros outweigh the cons immensely. Um, and then the third point that I brought up, obviously, is how we can then transition these suppliers into EDI capability and what that could do for them in the future. So next time you think about $15,000, think about how literally just having a software that automizes it could save you that money in a heartbeat. You wouldn't even have to think about it.